Hello and welcome to episode 3 of our Caffeine Reveal, Reset, Renew series here on the Aslan Health Podcast. The focus of today's show is renewing a healthy long-term relationship with caffeine. If you've listened to the prior 2 episodes, you already learned what caffeine does and how to hit the reset button if needed. Now it's time to talk about how to bring caffeine back into your life in a balanced, wise, and healthy way. Think of this episode as the guide to enjoying caffeine as a lifelong ally. We'll cover the best practices for timing, dosing, choosing your caffeine sources, and overall lifestyle balance. So, let's Joe.
Welcome to the Aslan Health Podcast, where science meets soul. Your host for this program is Dr. Mike Hauman, an experienced physician, a certified functional medicine provider, a certified insight coach practitioner, and a devoted follower of Jesus Christ. If you're tired of feeling stressed out, exhausted, overwhelmed, or stuck in survival mode, you're in the right place. So take a deep breath. Let's be transformed by the renewing of our minds. Here's Dr. Mike.
If you have already initiated a caffeine reset, way to go. That's fantastic. I know it's not easy, but most good things in life are not. They require self-control and effort. And even if you didn't do a full reset, just coming along for this learning journey means that you're more mindful of your caffeine habits, which is wonderful. Psalm 90:12 says, "Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom." In a way, learning to manage something as routine as our caffeine habit is part of being a wise steward of our body, our mind, and our life. So let's be wise and learn how to renew and maintain a healthy relationship with caffeine. Here are my strategies and tips to get the most out of caffeine's benefit while minimizing the unwanted side effects. First, mind the dose. Moderation is key. With caffeine, more is not always better. In fact, most experts and regulatory agencies like the FDA suggest that up to 400 milligrams of caffeine per day is a safe upper limit. That's for healthy adults. That's roughly the amount in about 4 8-ounce cups of coffee. Staying at or below that level is a good rule of thumb. Your personal sweet spot, however, may be much less. Pay attention to how you feel. If 300 milligrams a day makes you jittery or disrupts your sleep, consider reducing your dosage by, say, half. Some people find that they're happiest with just one strong cup of coffee in the morning, about 100 milligrams, and nothing more. That's me. The key is to find the smallest amount that gives you the desired boost and benefit, then stick within that range. This helps to prevent those unpleasant side effects like anxiety, trembling hands, or a racing heart. If you notice these symptoms, I recommend you reduce your consumption and consider adding the supplement L-theanine to your coffee habit. I've included my favorite product in today's show notes as well. It's affordable and easy to use. I find it minimizes caffeine's unwanted side effects without reducing your coffee boost and benefit. Remember, caffeine is a tool. It can help you feel alert and focused. However, the goal isn't to see how much you can tolerate, but to use a moderate dose that enhances your day without enslaving you. The Bible reminds us to practice self-control, and your use of caffeine is a great place to apply that wise principle. A question: did you ever drink a huge cup of coffee in the morning only to find yourself crashing by early afternoon? One strategy to avoid that roller coaster is to spread your caffeine out in smaller doses throughout the day. The term titrate, if you recall that term from chemistry, comes to mind here. It means to gradually adjust the dose until the most effective dose is reached. Caffeine's effect lasts a few hours, so if you take it all at once, you get a big spike and then a plummet. If instead you have, say, 2 smaller coffees or teas spaced throughout the day, you might maintain a steadier level of alertness. For example, you could take a cup at breakfast, another cup perhaps at lunch. Each dose might be just 50 or 100 milligrams, which is enough to perk you up, but not to send you into overdrive. By the time the next wave of potential drowsiness comes, you can microdose and give yourself another little lift. This prevents the post-caffeine crash and reduces side effects by preventing overcaffeination at any one time. The caveat here is you still need to watch the clock and not dose too late in the day, which will lead us to our next point: set a caffeine curfew. Timing is everything with caffeine. As we discussed in episode 2, caffeine can linger in your system for 8 hours or so. So a crucial habit for a daily healthy relationship with caffeine is to establish a cutoff time each day. For most people, 2 p.m. is a good default cutoff. If you typically go to bed around 10 or 11 p.m., A 2 p.m. cutoff gives you at least 8 hours to metabolize that caffeine before bedtime. If you're very caffeine sensitive or you go to bed earlier, you might want to cut off a little bit earlier, say noon. The idea is to protect your night's sleep because good sleep is the foundation of recovery. Feeling well and ironically needing less caffeine. Everyone's metabolism is a bit different. Some people clear caffeine faster and can have an espresso at dinner and still sleep fine, while others can't or it wrecks their night. Pay attention to your body's signals. By setting a caffeine curfew, you ensure that caffeine works for you during the day and doesn't sabotage you at night. For this reason, I find that my Oura Ring is invaluable. It's a device that provides sleep tracking, sleep quality, and heart rate variability metrics. It helps me see how my choices are interfering with my sleep and my recovery each day. It's also important to remember that not all caffeinated beverages are created equal. Black coffee, plain espresso, or unsweetened tea are probably the cleanest caffeinated beverages, 0 calories, full of antioxidants, and nothing artificial. However, on the other hand, coffee shop drinks can be sugar bombs, and many energy drinks or sodas come loaded with sugar, artificial flavors, or other stimulants that carry additional health risks. Those extras might give you a short-term pleasure, but in the long term, they can undermine your health goals. My advice is to enjoy your caffeine from natural sources like coffee and tea, and avoid unnecessary sugars and oils. Also, consider caffeine supplements and pills. They can be useful for those who want a precise dose before a workout or before a competition. If that's you, I recommend 100 milligrams of caffeine in a pill form instead of coffee for those instances, and I strongly recommend joining it with L-theanine to eliminate any unwanted side effects. My favorite product for this purpose is Caffeinol from Pure Encapsulations. So if you're interested in trying a measured caffeine supplement or pairing caffeine with an amino acid like L-theanine for smoother focus, I've curated some professional-grade options on my Aslan Health full-script dispensary. These supplements work great together to boost your focus without the jitters. Check out the link in the show notes if you're curious. Always follow proper dosing instructions and avoid taking more than recommended. Quality matters when it comes to supplements. Always ensure that you're getting what the label says without unnecessary impurities. Or it's also important to remain hydrated and nourished. It's easy to fall into the pattern of running on coffee. You have coffee instead of breakfast, maybe another coffee in the afternoon instead of a snack. But remember that caffeine is not a substitute for real fuel. And it is a mild diuretic, so it can cause dehydration. Dehydration can cause headaches and fatigue, which you might mistakenly try to consider to counter with more caffeine. Try to drink water throughout the day. Consider having a glass of water alongside each caffeinated beverage. And don't neglect food, especially protein and complex carbohydrates. They can provide fuel for sustained energy. If you have a cup of coffee in the morning, consider pairing it with a decent breakfast, such as my favorite, a piece of fruit and some almond butter. This will help your blood sugar stay stable and prevent those caffeine jitters that come from coffee on an empty tank, for example. Your goal is steady energy. Caffeine can only do so much if you're not giving your body basic nutrition and hydration. And now that you've reset, you might find that you don't need caffeine at all, or not all the time. Maybe you reserve it for when it's most helpful, so leverage caffeine strategically, especially in the long term. This means you use caffeine purposefully, not habitually. For instance, you might decide to use caffeine as a boost for your most important activities. For example, you have a cup of green tea before a big morning meeting, or when you need to be on point, or before exercise. Consider using caffeine 30 minutes beforehand to boost your performance and your endurance. Or if you have a long drive, a cup of coffee at the start can improve your alertness on the road. However, if you're just chilling on a day off, you might skip your caffeine altogether and give your body a respite. Save your caffeine for when it's really needed. Using caffeine strategically like this helps prevent constant dependence because you're not dosing continuously. You're using it when it truly benefits you and going without it when you don't need it. As a physician, the literature's clear. Caffeine is generally safe for healthy adults, but also be mindful of medications and underlying health conditions. Caffeine can interact with certain medications and medical conditions. For example, if you have anxiety or panic disorder, too much caffeine can trigger or worsen your symptoms since the physiologic effects can feel somewhat like the fight or flight response feelings. We discussed that in detail in our last podcast series on panic attacks, And if that applies to you, I encourage you to read my book, Panic to Peace, and deal with that condition before you consume caffeine. I don't want you to add gas to your fire, so to speak. And if you have a heart condition or high blood pressure, you'll want to limit caffeine consumption as it can raise heart rate and blood pressure slightly. Always consult your doctor about what's safe for you. For the pregnant women out there, you're advised to limit your caffeine to 200 milligrams per day or less, because high intake can be associated with some risks for your baby. Other medications, especially stimulants, certain antibiotics, or medications used for depression and other psychological conditions can cause problems as well. Just double check with your pharmacist and your doctor to determine that caffeine won't interfere with your medications. For instance, caffeine can reduce the absorption of some thyroid medications if taken at the same time. It might amplify the effect of other stimulants as well. Understanding your personal health context is crucial for building a healthy relationship with caffeine. Most people can safely enjoy it, but there's no harm in being informed about how it might interact with you specifically in your medications. Last but certainly not least, remember to enjoy caffeine for more than just its chemical kick. For many of us, the beautiful thing about our coffee or tea is the ritual around it. The warmth of the mug, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee beans or steeped tea leaves, the quiet moment in the morning as you take that first sip. There's a lot to savor there. When we focus on the experience and the flavor, we tend to naturally slow down and consume less. For example, if you adore the taste of a good espresso, you might find that one shot, about 60 to 80 milligrams of caffeine, enjoyed mindfully, gives you far more satisfaction than a large 20-ounce coffee that you gulp down while driving to work. By really savoring the moment, you get a mental boost and an emotional boost as well, not just a physical one. This also helps keep caffeine in its place, something to appreciate and enjoy rather than just a drug that you need to get through the day. I recommend pairing your coffee or your tea with a quiet, restorative activity such as reading your Bible, writing in a gratitude journal, or practicing your deep breathing exercises. Let it be a positive, joyful part of your day, not just a caffeine-to-go habit. You can turn the habit into a moment of mindful appreciation. It's your choice. We've hinted at this throughout our series, but it deserves its own special emphasis. Caffeine can give you a boost, but it is no replacement for the fundamentals of health. To truly have a steady energy and to feel your best in the long run, you'll want to balance your caffeine with foundational, functional habits. First, prioritize your sleep. There's no substitute for getting adequate, high-quality sleep. That's 7 to 8 hours per night. When you're well rested, you naturally have more energy, better focus, and a better mood, which means you won't need as much caffeine. Make sleep a non-negotiable in your life as much as possible. That might mean setting a regular bedtime, creating a relaxing bedtime routine, and avoiding screens right before bed. Caffeine can help you temporarily if you're short on sleep, but it cannot repay a sleep debt. So if you're chronically sleep deprived, no amount of coffee will help you feel good. So use caffeine to complement a good night's sleep, not to compensate for the lack of it. Next, get moving and exercise. It might sound counterintuitive, but using energy and exercise can actually improve your functional energy in the long run. Regular physical activity improves your circulation, your mood, your overall energy levels all throughout the day. A 20-minute walk can do wonders for waking you up and clearing the mental fog. If you make a habit of daily movement, you might find you rely a bit less on caffeine because your body is naturally more alert. Think about it. When was the last time you saw someone sleeping during exercise? In addition, caffeine and exercise can be a great team. A little caffeine can motivate you to work out, and working out will help you sleep better and provide a more energetic baseline, which means that you might not crave caffeine as much. It's synergistic and a healthy connection. As an experiment, if you feel that afternoon slump, try a quick set of jumping jacks, some wall stretches, or just walk around the block. You might find that this refreshes you almost as much as a cup of coffee. Now, we all know that life can be stressful, and many of us reflexively reach for another cup of coffee, a cola, an energy drink when we're under pressure, trying to meet a deadline or just feeling exhausted. A better approach is to pair your caffeine habit with good stress management techniques. Because the lower your baseline stress, the better caffeine will feel when you do reach for it. And if you're having a particularly anxious day, it's okay to skip the caffeine or to opt for half calf or green tea instead of strong coffee. Your mind and your heart will thank you. So for today, just remember the big picture. A healthy life is about balance. Caffeine, used wisely, can be a part of that balance. In fact, as we discussed, a coffee or tea habit can fit well within a healthy lifestyle, and it might even contribute. Positive antioxidants, better productivity, deeper exercise gains, and a happier mood. But it's just one piece of the puzzle. When you combine mild to moderate caffeine use with good sleep, regular exercise, a healthy diet, regular stress management, deepening faith, well, then you're firing on all cylinders. And if you ever sense one piece, like caffeine dependency, is starting to throw that off balance, well, now you have the tools to adjust and to realign as necessary. It's easy to get into a restrictive mindset or feel guilty about your coffee habit. But if you take away one thing from this series, let it be this. You can enjoy your caffeine without guilt as long as you use it with wisdom and moderation. In fact, that morning cup might even be doing you some good. So rather than feeling bad about loving your coffee, you can feel thankful. Just keep it in balance. And always remember, our ultimate strength and alertness comes from the Lord. I love the promise in Isaiah 40:31. Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. What a wonderful reminder that even though caffeine can help us for a few hours not feel so weary, it is God who truly renews our strength. When we wait on Him and live according to His principles, like self-control with caffeine, for example, we can find an endurance and a vitality that no amount of caffeine can ever match. As we conclude this Reveal, Reset, Renew series on caffeine, I hope that you feel informed and empowered. We pulled back the curtain on caffeine, so to speak. We learned how to break free from dependence if needed, and we explored strategies to live in harmony with our beloved caffeinated beverages. With knowledge and moderation, you can enjoy caffeine as a helpful friend for the long haul, rather than a driving master for each day. Thank you so much for listening and being part of this journey. If you found this series helpful, please share it with a fellow caffeine lover. And if you're interested in some of the resources or products I mentioned, like L-theanine and caffeine, for example, please check out the show notes. There's detailed information, literature, and direct links from my Aslan Health Fullscripts account. Until next time, my friend, be well and be blessed. May your energy be steady, your sleep sound, and your coffee truly enjoyable. God bless you, and I'll catch up with you in the next episode.